Thanks so much for joining us on the Retirement Playbook. Brad Johansson, Ed Battello, WealthMax Financial Group. You good today, my friend?
I am well. How are you?
I'm really good.
Yeah.
I'm really good, even though the things are kind of, I don't know, it's a volatile time, right? We wake up every day. If you wake up, it's a good day. The problem is for a lot of people entering retirement, I have all my money in the market, and now I'm a little bit scared because things are, how much do you hear this right now? Because, man, we had a good run, right, up until 2025, right?
Yeah.
And then everything just kind of flips on its ear. The phone rings a lot.
The market does not like uncertainty, and we are in a time with a lot of uncertainty. Market volatility is a massive topic.
All right, let's spend the half hour on it then. So if I'm in market volatility, look, what I've heard is, let me put my money in the market.
As
I'm
you
gonna be
should.
good, right? I put my money in the market, nothing beats the market, everything runs with the market, and if it goes up, it's gonna come back, well, probably a little bit. But if it goes down, what am I supposed to do? Look, the runway changes when we have retirement. And this is kind of what I want to speak to you about, because you've decided to really focus on distribution phase. Most advisors decide to focus on accumulation phase.
Yeah.
Tell me the difference.
A lot of advisors are going to teach you about growing your money, building your assets, investing in the market, maximizing returns. But when you enter retirement, those things are less important than actually distributing your dollars from those portfolios, right? And so when market volatility occurs, like it's occurring right now, it's different when you are taking income from your portfolio, Brad, than when you are adding to your portfolio as you're working, right? And so in retirement, we talk about it a lot. Retirement is selling your portfolio. Accumulation is buying into your portfolio. And when the market is volatile, you don't want to sell the same way as you bought in, right? Buy low, sell high. We talk about it all the time. Yeah. But the market shouldn't dictate whether you have that income, right? And so that's why you want a retirement plan, because we know that the market's going to have volatility. There's a guarantee that the market's going to go up and go down. We just don't know when. And so we want to have a plan. Where are we taking our income when the market goes up? Where are we taking income when the market goes down? Do we want to give our equities a chance to rebound? Well, if I sell, if I take income in retirement for my equities, I'm not giving it a chance for it to rebound. And so distribution game, completely different than accumulation game.
Oh, okay, accumulation game, let's stand on that, because we do what we are told to do, right?
Yeah.
Put our money in a 401k. I mean, for most people, let's put our money in a 401k. There's some pensions left. People who have those should feel fortunate at this point. It's about 12% of Americans who are left with pensions. So the 401k is the situation where, do we even know what we're in? Because I know you're dealing with people.
Yeah.
Do they know what they're in 401ks? Have they distributed, and I'm going to talk about some strategies in doing this in 401ks. Do people know what they're in portfolios? This is what you harp on all the time, on having a playbook plan, a written financial plan. Do people know what they're investing in while they're working, getting ready to enter retirement?
Yeah, you have no idea how many people actually don't know what they're invested in. Right? They're invested in target date funds. They don't know what sectors of the market, whether it's technology, healthcare, financial services, where they're invested, right? And so you want an advisor to really hone in regards to where you should be invested in, right? Learn about where you're currently invested in. Should you de-risk your portfolio? We talk about it. The market was as high as it's probably going to be in a long time back in November. And so it's come down, right? So the market in November was 180% over the market's trend, and today we're at 145. Well, the market came down, and it's coming back up, but when we're selling, that is when you realize losses. You only realize losses in your portfolio when you sell your positions, and with the market being volatile, Your income has to come from somewhere. You don't have an option. You need to pay your bills. You can't wait for the market to come back up to take that distribution. So you want to plan. You don't want to sell equities during down markets. That requires a plan.
Here's what I want to talk about: emotion a little bit, because I think we make decisions for the most part based on emotion. The two biggest ones financially are probably fear and greed.
Yeah.
And while we're in accumulation, man, we've got a number, right?
Yeah.
If I could just reach that number,
Yeah.
and when is enough, enough? And then we hit a 2025 past November. And I'll tell you what, when you see a 3,000 point drop in a day and you were going, today's the day where I hit that number, then it becomes fear that drives the emotion. You play a psychological game, and I don't mean to say it's a game with clients, but do you have to play emotionally with how people feel about their investments, feel about their plan as to whether or not they're going to make that work?
Well, don't we take the feelings out of everything when we have a written plan? When we have something that's written, the feeling kind of doesn't exist anymore, because we now know if the market goes down, we don't have to be fearful because we have a plan. And if the market goes up, well, hey, maybe we're rebalancing it. There's a lot of different strategies that we use at WealthMax, but having the plan is the most important aspect of retirement, right? And so that's why we've created the Retirement Playbook for you, right? We know market volatility exists, and we know it's going to happen more now than ever. Why? Because uncertainty is maximized right now.
Yeah. Okay. So if I'm in my feelings on all of this, what's my time frame so that I can get out of that? When you say we have strategies at WealthMax, how do you strategize for something when all your life, all you've ever done is put money in the market and put it in a portfolio and say, here is my plan? How do you strategize to get out of that as we're in distribution mode?
Well, the game has changed, right? You're no longer accumulating. You aren't earning income to put money into it. And so now the strategy becomes, how do I keep my income up without running out of money while the market is down, right? And so I'll give you an example. I had a client come to one of my workshops a few months back, and he had a significant amount of assets. He had over $4 million, and he didn't think that I would be able to help him. So he came for the consultation just to start to think about maybe ways that I can help him.
I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of, right? And so he had just a 60-40 blend, right? And he was taking distributions, right? He was taking a pretty good size distribution, over $150,000 a year. But the market was going down in Q1 this year. And so he was taking distributions from his portfolio while the market was coming down.
Not the way you went.
That rebound we just had,
Yeah.
he missed out on it, but luckily we did some planning and we diversified his portfolio appropriately so he didn't have to take distributions during down markets.
Okay. Market volatility now. And I said you probably do at least 60 workshops a year?
Yeah.
You're everywhere. Give me an idea, because I think for a lot of people, you're going to be tuning into this and saying, I'm going to come see that. I would like to see you in person. I would like to go into some of these in detail. So give me the workshop ideas. Where can people go to find out when you're going to be at workshops? And then let's talk about those as well.
The QR code is going to lead you to our website, which you're going to see a good amount of workshops coming up in the near future. Hopefully there's one locally near you where you can register. Click the link, register. You are going to come to our workshop, and it is going to be all educational based. We're going to talk about Social Security, how to optimize Social Security and maximize it. Taxes, how to reduce your tax bill in retirement. But we're also going to talk about the market and how to control your retirement plan with market volatility.
So as you move through this and people start to ask questions, what's the main question in the middle of this market volatility? Is it, am I going to make it? Is it, am I doing it right? Is it, should I be doing something different?
Yeah.
Give me the idea, the breadth of questions that you're getting.
Well, they 100% should be doing something different, right? The question is, hey, how does the game change, right? Because I talk about it in my workshop that the game changes. We talk about the sequence of returns, how that can adjust your retirement plan.
All right, let's talk about sequence of returns. While you stand on that, people are saying, I don't know what you mean by that if I'm dealing with the market. I guess what you're saying is if you retire at the wrong time, you may be in trouble.
Yeah, someone retiring, only 3 years later, right? So if you retired, in 90 versus 2000, your sequence of the market is different. And so the distribution plan is going to be entirely different. It's not, you say it best, Brad. Everybody has a completely individualized retirement situation. And so your plan has to be revolved around your plan. When you're retiring, where's the market when you retire, right? Think about the people who retired in 07 and then 08 occurred. Where do you think they went back to? They went back to their employer, right? To gain some more income because they lost 56% of their portfolio in one given year. They couldn't survive or live the retirement lifestyle that they thought they were going to based on market volatility.
So in working a sequence of returns and trying to get to a spot where I understand that I'm going to be okay, how long do I sit and wait before I put together a plan?
Yeah, if you're listening to this and watching this, you're probably in retirement or pre-retirement, right? 5 to 7 years, you need to start working on a plan, right? Like I say, the market was as high as it was in November. We probably should have de-risked your portfolio back in 2024, but the market is still doing well. Right now, we are still 145% over the trend line. And you see there's going to be a graph that every time we go above the trend line, we come back below the trend line, right? And so those things you got to realize. The market we know is going to go up and down, but we don't want our retirement plan focused strictly on market.
Know what the market's going to do tomorrow? I don't know. You don't know. Ed doesn't know. And if you have an advisor who tells you they do know, maybe it's time for a second opinion, because the plan has to be in place for when things change. Sorry, the crystal ball is broken. We need to put together a plan. Make the phone call right now to 844-837-3643 to put together a complimentary written financial plan that is only yours. It's your retirement playbook, and now may be the time. Maybe you've said, I've watched for a little bit. I'll call later. Maybe later is now. 844-837-3643 to put together your retirement playbook. Do it now. We'll be right back.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ben. Hey, birthday party for Carol and 5. Happy birthday to you.
Good morning, Ben. Happy Monday.
Daryl's birthday, be there every square. Happy birthday to you. As you can see from our quarterly report on slide number 62, we're trending in the right direction. All signs point to a very positive outlook for the next several years. If you peel back the onion...
Ben, do you have anything to add?
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
So glad you're with us on the Retirement Playbook. Brad Johansson, Ed Botello, Wealth Max Financial Group. We're so glad you're here. Trying to put together a retirement playbook for you, and we're talking about the market and the market volatility. I want to talk about asset allocation. Do you play into that right now? Does that have to change when we hit retirement red zone as well?
Well, I don't think it has to change, but it doesn't have to be the main focus of your retirement plan. It needs to be a segment of the retirement plan. You need to know how your assets are segmented in the market, non-correlated assets versus correlated assets to the market, right? You don't want all of your eggs in one basket, right? We don't want all of our dollars being adjusted by market volatility, right? The problem is we do have good interest rates right now, but it's not like the 70s when we were able to capture 15% interest rates and live on interest. And so what we got to focus on today with the market being where it is does it make sense to de-risk your portfolio? Does it make sense to not put all of your eggs reliant on the stock market? Because to me it does, Brad.
I want to go through one of the surveys that's recent from Schroders U.S. Retirement Survey. 49% of the people responding said they do not have a retirement income strategy.
Yeah.
They'll just take money from their accounts when they need it. That's 1 out of every 2.
Okay.
57%, so that's a greater number, said they're concerned about not having regular paychecks in retirement. Well, of course, I'm surprised that number's that low. 23%, they're just straight terrified.
Yeah.
The idea is we seem to sit, and I say kick the can all the time. We kick the can down the road because until we're desperate, we're just going to do what we've been told to do. And I push this because this is what you push with people coming into the office, that every plan is different. If 1 out of every 4 people are terrified, and probably the greatest fear facing Americans right now is running out of money in retirement over death. They'd rather be dead than be alive and be running, because the worst day in your retirement is not when you run out of money, it's the day you realize you're going to run out of money and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Why are plans so important, and why do we seem to put off the idea that we have to go to an advisor who's different than the one that we've been dealing with for a long time, who hasn't talked about any of this stuff?
Yeah, accumulation is completely different than distribution, right? And so with market volatility, those who are fearful or nervous about market volatility, right there, Brad, shows you that they don't have a plan. Because your plan should be consisting of market volatility. We know it's going to happen, especially where the market is right now, right? And so with those who come into our office with a retirement plan, they're not nervous about when the market's going to drop. You know, they know, it's not if, it is when.
It's when.
It's when. And we don't know when, right? You talk about that crystal ball. We don't have that crystal ball, but we have an understanding that the market fluctuates. It goes up, it comes down. Right now, you know, we're going up and down every day. Early on in 2025, we went down pretty quickly. We've responded. But do you know how many people came out of the market during that fearful time? Because they didn't want to lose anymore. They've already lost 10, 12% early on in 2025. And so they came out of the market and they lost out on that nice rebound in the last month. That is someone without a plan, and it's really scary.
We talk about, and there may be multiple prongs on trying to put together this plan. We're talking, and we've done programs on this with, you have to have an income plan. That has to be strategized with an investment plan that now has to be different than the accumulation plan. We have hounded on taxes, that has to be then a part of your plan. And asset allocation, asset preservation now has to be different, and that there are different solutions to doing that. And then you've said, how do you want your legacy to look? You want to spend your last buck? Or do you have kids that you need to have money? Do you have grandkids that you want to have money? Do you have gifting strategies that you have to have? All of these things that I'm listing have to be part of a plan. And if you're missing one of those, just having a portfolio is probably going to be the biggest mistake you've ever had.
Yeah, one thing people don't realize is long-term care. Right? You didn't even
talked about Medicare and long-term health.
Yeah, no, you haven't talked about the cost of what, 65% of people over the age of 70 is going to need some type of long-term care, right? And so who's going to pay for that? Your assets are, not Medicare, right? Medicaid will, but you got to lower your assets all the way down to $2,500 as of right now for you to even qualify.
Let's even talk about that, because a lot of people have said, well, I've been sold on a long-term health care plan and they stink because if I don't use it, I lose it. Are there better products now that include the potential of asset preservation and long-term care where it's your money?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why working with a fiduciary independent advisor, we have solutions like that that can not only protect your assets, but maximize your assets if one of those events actually do occur. And so a lot of people are fearful of long-term care and the expense that it's going to accrue. Right now in Rhode Island, long-term care expenses average $13,500 per month.
$13,500 a month.
Yeah. 20 years from now, with a 3% inflation rate, which is approximately the average, Brad, $25,000. And so if you use those, if you need long-term care for, let's just say 4 years, that's $1.2 million of assets you need just for nursing home.
And you're able to put that within the plan. You mentioned something that we really rarely even talk about here. 3%, that may be the average. 3.8% is actually the 50-year average.
Yep.
And yet when 2020 to 2025, we've gone over 24% inflation. And accumulation advisors aren't working that into a plan. Kind of math wins on this, doesn't it?
Yeah, remember when inflation wasn't really a thing a few years back, right? Now people are really panicking about inflation, as you should, right? And I talk about go-go years, slow-go years, and no-go years in the sense of in your go-go years, the cost of living will obviously go up throughout your retirement, but your spending will go down. Well, right now, you know, inflation is kind of saying, no, your spending needs to keep up with inflation in order for you to live the lifestyle that you want to maintain. Inflation is through the roof, right, Brad? So we have to plan for that. That's what the playbook consists of. And with your assets being way above the market trend, we might not want to afford or have the appetite to lose some of these assets that we've already accumulated during our accumulation phase.
How much money do you want to keep? All of it. That's why you want a retirement playbook. That's why you want to make the call, 844-837-3643, to put together a complimentary written financial plan so that you can breathe a sigh of relief, that you don't have to have that greatest fear of running out of money in retirement. Put together your retirement playbook. Make the call now. We'll be right back.
When was the last time you saw your financial professional? Are you getting the most out of the strategy that was created for you? Although you've done a great job finding someone to help plan for your future, are you 100% sure that you were given the right strategy? We can help answer these questions and more with a complimentary second opinion evaluation. We will take a look at what you have in place and then help determine if you're well positioned to get the most out of your future retirement income. In the event that it is not, we can help by making suggestions and showing you how to get on the right path. You wouldn't get just one opinion when it comes to a major health decision, so why would you treat your most important financial decision with such disregard? Call today for your no-cost, no-obligation second opinion evaluation to see if you're getting the most out of your retirement income plan.
Glad you're with us on the Retirement Playbook. Brad Johansson, Ed Vitello, WealthMax Financial Group. We've been talking about market volatility and all of the things that are encompassed within the playbook plan that we put together. And market volatility is affecting just about everybody, whether or not you're still working in those years and trying to figure it out. And especially if you're in the retirement distribution phase, which is what you specialize on it. Have you seen it affect anybody that's walked in maybe in the last several years that really piques your interest to say, man, we can put together a plan to change your life?
How about in the last several weeks, Brad?
Yeah.
Right? So we do 60 workshops a year, right? And so when people come to our workshops, we're educating them about the market. And so a gentleman walks into the office for his free comprehensive written financial plan, And I learned that he's taking all of his money out of the market. He is so fearful of the market. His $1 million, a little bit more, that he's accrued in his 401k, it is in a fixed account earning 2%, not even beating inflation. And that is not a good plan. So we quickly fixed it, but we had to have a mental adjustment for that client, right? Learning the market is going to always go up and down. It's always going to come back, but that's over the long term, right? If we're looking at the market in 20-year spans, we know that the market's going to guarantee you increased value. But if we're looking at 2, 3, 4, 5 years, there's no guarantee. There's been lost decades in the past. And so as you approach retirement, 5 to 7 years, that's where the market doesn't give you that guaranteed increase. So we just had to make a mental adjustment saying, hey, we can put this money back in the market, but we just need to realize that's not our short-term or even our middle-term bucket. We don't need these dollars for 10 plus years. We need to de-risk and diversify into a 3 to 9 year bucket and a 1 to 3 year bucket, right? And if we need money tomorrow, we can't be taking risk. If we need money in 10 years, we can take risk, Brad.
I talked about the fear and how that drives people. So that's fear driving him to say, I drastically have to do something that I don't want to do. That's where a plan comes into place. How's he feeling now after all of that?
He's feeling better, especially now that the market's rebound. And he said, wow, Ed, you told me that it was going to come up. Now, I didn't know that it was going to come up this soon, right? It had a 9-day stretch where all positive markets, first time ever, by the way. And that's right after a negative market. We know we cannot time the market. It's time in the market, not timing the market. And so the Retirement Playbook has that in place. Log on to our website, click the QR code, get a written financial plan that understands market volatility, because it's going to occur in your retirement plan, and you need to maximize your retirement by understanding market volatility is going to happen.
Now's your time. Don't wait any longer. 844-837-3643 to get your complimentary written financial plan. It's your retirement playbook. If you're one of those that's worried about running out of money before it's time, now's the time to do something about it. Put it together. We're grateful for the time that you spend with us on this program. Now we're looking forward to seeing you in the office. 844-837-3643. And we will see you right back here next time on the Retirement Playbook.